Good day, everyone, and welcome to another installment of SCORE Boston Presents. I'm your host, Rob Stutzman, and I have the privilege of volunteering with the SCORE Boston chapter as Marketing and Social Media Chair. We are celebrating National Disabilities Month, and today we have Mohammed of Let's Roll Productions, which publishes graphic novels for those with disabilities. We are also joined by his mentor, Bob Welch, who is chair of SCORE Boston's partner relationships. So good to have you with us today, Mohammed. Please take a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, how it got started, how long you've been in business, and how you have been growing.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us, Rob. And I first of all want to actually thank Bob because I'm so grateful that I have actually met him. And he has actually been guiding me through this whole process of starting my company and building it. And especially also introduced me to you. And I feel very grateful to have met you, and some of the feedback I've gotten from you have been really valuable. And especially thank you for connecting me to the web developers. So a little bit about my background. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I was born there, and then at the age of 6, I lost everything, my legs and my family. And I was taken to a hospital where I spent 7 years. And then during that time, I met a doctor who was from the US, and he actually wanted to learn how to speak Farsi. And I wanted to learn how to speak English. So he said, why don't you teach me Farsi and I'll teach you English. And during the process, we'll learn from each other. So that's how we bonded. And then after 7 years, in 2009, at the age of 12, I moved to the United States.
Excellent. Bob, thanks for joining us today. Please tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been with SCORE Boston, and why you volunteer.
Thanks, Rob. I've been with SCORE for almost 5 years, and I've been retired about the same period of time. And my background has been in consulting and advisory work in a bunch of different industries and a bunch of different companies over my 40-plus year career. My last role was as Senior Vice President of Operations of a consulting business that was part of a big engineering company. Why I do this is so many reasons, and I think Mo's a good example of how they come together. One is, I needed to do something that could help people. I felt in a lot of ways I spent a lot of time over the years taking care of myself and my family, and with some exceptions, I never had a chance to do something that was really going to benefit others more than me. I heard about SCORE. I talked to people at SCORE. It sounded like the right thing for me, and I've enjoyed it from the first day. It's so rewarding to help people figure out how to reach their dreams. We've all at SCORE had the experience of helping people forward and become successful, and in some cases help people avoid making some mistakes. So it balances itself out. The relationship with Mo is, I don't know, is it a year old, Mo? I'm not sure I remember, but we've been working together quite a while. And one of the reasons I enjoy working with him so much is that Mo is an entrepreneur. I call him an entrepreneur plus, meaning he's starting a business that's going to make a good living for him if it works, but it's based on a principle that's defined to help other people. It's a really interesting business model. It has aspects of what you might find in a nonprofit. And Mo has had a stage of his business that was in fact a nonprofit, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But he's going to make a living and then a business out of this. His dream, as he'll tell you about in a minute, is quite broad. I'm sure he'll need a new mentor before he gets to the later stages.
No, I'm not letting you go, Bob.
But he's committed. He's smart. You can tell from his background. He's learned to be persistent. He asks good questions. He's very talented, and he's been very rewarding to work for.
Awesome. Thank you. So,
Thank
Mohammed,
you, Bob.
you told us you are from Afghanistan, which is where you were raised. How is it that you came to reside in the U.S.?
So, as I mentioned, I met this doctor who was actually my doctor, and the hospital that I was living in belonged to this Italian NGO.
Hmm.
And after 7 years, because of the war, uh, they abruptly closed. And so I had no place to go. And a friend of the doctor, who was a nurse, was coming to Afghanistan to work for another organization. And the doctor had told her, "Can you go to the mountains and check on the little boy in the wheelchair?" So she came over there and I met her. And from the first day, we bonded. And as I actually told Bob one day, I said, "You know how you meet somebody and the first day you feel the connection?" And there are three people that I have felt that connection. The first one was that doctor. The second was this nurse that when he introduced me to her. And the third was Bob when I met him at Harvard. So when this nurse came and I met her, my English wasn't that great, but I really felt at peace with her, near her, and I feel comfortable. But at the same time, I was really nervous and anxious. Why is this American here and want to meet me? So she said that she was a friend of Dr. William, which made me feel, calm and kind of friendly. Um, and she said that he asked me to come check on you. And after that, we met a couple times, and then she finally asked me because my conditions were really bad. My back was getting curved and the doctors had told me that if I stayed in Afghanistan, I will be dead by the age of 18.
Mm.
So she said, "I'll bring you. You can get a nice treatment, a good education, and most of all, you will have a home." And it took me actually 6 months, and I thought hard about it. And I realized, no matter how much hard you work in Afghanistan, as a disabled person, you are always looked down upon. And I thought, no matter what I do here, I will never be able to, make a positive, huge impact. And obviously, my condition gonna keep getting worse. So I said yes, and then it took her around 2 years to get everything together, like the paperwork. And in 2009, I moved to United States and lived with her for a while before I got my own place.
That's fascinating. Thank you.
Well,
So let's talk a little bit about the company. So Let's Roll Production is an action-packed adventure series that features a superhero in a wheelchair. What inspired you to create the character?
well, as I mentioned, when I was stuck in that hospital for 7 years, there were two things that got me through. One was my strong faith. I don't know like what was with me, but I was stuck in this bed, but I always have this hope for a positive future. And I always had this dream that someday, you know, I will travel the world, but then I would come around the US and I was like, don't even think about it. That's impossible. And here I am today. So when I was stuck in this hospital, two things that got me by was one was the strong faith, and second was movies. And the movies, it would take you to another universe. You would forget about all the suffering, the war, and everything that was going around you. But one thing that always bothered me, that in none of these movies there were main characters, main heroes who had a disability, especially someone in a wheelchair. And the characters who did have disabilities, they were always portrayed as negative, like needy, beggars or a burden to society. So, but there was no way for me to make a positive change. So when I came to the USA, And after, all my medical was taken care of, one day they took me to see a movie, and it was Avatar. And I was so excited, especially when I saw that the main character was in a wheelchair. I was like over the moon. So anyway, after the movie was over and I came home, I found out that that character wasn't really in a wheelchair. He was played by an able-bodied who played a character in a wheelchair, and I was stabbed in the heart. And I feel like I came to this land of opportunity, and here is a huge company who takes a mouse and make it into a huge brand, and they haven't come up with an idea to create a superhero in a wheelchair. So, and so I was like, people with disability are the true heroes. They face challenges every single day, and they have to come with a solution right on the spot. And so I decided, I want to create Vulture Man. And the Vulture Man came to my mind because I know I need to create a brand around the Vulture because I don't want Marvel to steal the idea. So I came up, I didn't have back then a lot of resources to copyright and trademark. So that's why I came out with Vulture Man, Vulture Woman, Vulture Girl, Vulture Boy, and Captain Afghanistan. So they are all kind of based around this diversity, and they are superheroes from all over the world based on real life stories of people with disabilities who come together to come with a strategic plan to end all old wars and rebuild countries that are impacted by wars. So the first country they decide to go to and rebuild is Afghanistan, because I'm from Afghanistan. Captain Afghanistan is from Afghanistan. And, well, I'm an Afghan American, and Vulture Man is an Afghan American superhero. And then Vulture Girl is from Kazakhstan, which is a neighbor of Afghanistan. And, especially the women are suffering in Afghanistan and the girls. So to have especially a girl who is, in a wheelchair, who have been through so much and overcome, that's a symbol of hope itself. So I feel like you wouldn't just give hope to, little girls in wheelchairs, but to all girls and women and caregivers and caretakers. So our superheroes are different and unique, and we made that on purpose because what makes us unique is our differences. Our disability gave us our superpowers.
That is awesome. Thanks. So, what's your vision for the success of Let's Roll production?
My vision is, as I have, mentioned to Bob, sometimes I could be very temperamental and angry because I feel like, as a kid who came from the mountains of Afghanistan, I see these giant media companies who could build cities, who could take Afghanistan and rebuild it 50 times. But they haven't created a king, a prince, a princess, or a superhero in a wheelchair. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? Like it took me to come here and make this. So the success of Let's Roll production will be when Warner Brothers and we release a movie and our movie dominate their movies at the box office. That will be the day where I will feel like I'm successful.
That is awesome, and I certainly hope you get there. So, Bob, you and Mohammed have had a number of sessions where you meet to talk about his company. What have been some of the more impactful advice that you've been able to give him?
I think that Mo and I are a good pair because he's a creative and I'm not. So I think that the synergy between us is in large part around structure. He has a million ideas a day. His vision has never changed, by the way, since the first time I talked to him. Empowering people who share some of the challenges that he has is what I think keeps both of us going. But I think it's been trying to take a few steps at a time. He's got his business structured, as we were talking about before the call. He's about to launch his new website. We're looking into funding options. We've kind of tiered the way that he's going to start up. The first thing that people will be able to do is buy the graphic novels and some merchandise that they go with. There's other stages later on than that, but we're trying to create a little bit of an economic engine for him to grow. So I think most of my advice has been around focus and let's talk about what's next. And he's responded to that incredibly well.
That's awesome. So you talk with a number of clients. What makes Mohammed different from the rest?
Well, I think it goes back to what I said earlier. I love all my clients, and I've had a lot of fun with them. I guess I would say that everybody that comes to SCORE has a dream for sure. Mo's dream is different. He's got a dream that can change however many people's lives it changes if he's successful. So on one hand, there's this huge societal benefit for him to achieve his dream, and at the same time, I want to make sure that he's personally successful when he does that. So I mean, it's not different than most clients. There's more. There's a kind of a bigger mission, and I've found that really appealing.
That's great. So is there any advice that either of you would offer to those running a business, especially those with disabilities?
You want to go first, Bob?
Yeah, you go first because yours matters more than mine.
No, because you're the adult in the room, so you go first.
Look, I think that what Mo's opened my eyes to, and I'm not sure that it was something I was unaware of, but in this, especially in this age that we're in now, that's really an information age, the opportunities that should exist for people that share some of his challenges should be unlimited. These are bright people, they're motivated people, they're people that have shown that they can overcome challenges. It's like a way to activate almost a new segment of the population. Now I know there's lots of people that have disabilities that have really good jobs and careers. So I'm not saying we invented something from scratch, but the fact that this appeals to the spirit of those people, in my mind, is kind of what's different.
Okay.
And my advice is, I would say, do we have a few minutes?
Absolutely, go.
Yeah. My advice would be to find a great mentor. Especially if you are like an entrepreneur who have a disability, we see a lot of challenges. Like even in the US where the education system is great, if you go to the schools and they talk about diversity, you look at people with disabilities, they always look like they are segregated. Like in my high school, like there were a few kids with disability. I was the only wheelchair user, but those kids had a special room that they went to. And I say, that's what they did in Afghanistan. This is the United States. So no matter like you go through the education system, you don't get all that skills. You have all these things that you can't really get a great education to use to build a successful business. And in that case, I feel like even if you do, you still need a great mentor because at some point, you're going to go out of line or like you will get stuck. And this is kind of a resource that helps you get through those challenges. And, like I meet with Bob every Tuesday, and I really look forward to it. And they say in business, in entrepreneurship, it's a lonely journey. So you have to figure out things to reward yourself at the end of the day for the hard work that you do. And I feel like for me, the reward at the end of each week is meeting Bob Tuesdays. And I feel so grateful that I have found him as a mentor. And as I said, my ideas before meeting him was all over the place. But he helped me to organize them. And I feel like now we are on a straight path. and I'm so grateful. I can't thank him enough. So
Wonderful.
find a great mentor like
Right.
Bob.
It's very obvious you guys have a very special relationship with each other, so that's fantastic. So, hey, it's time for rapid fire. It's a little fun game you like to do on these videos. I'll ask you a series of questions, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. You guys ready? All right.
Yes.
Favorite food?
Chicken tikka masala.
Okay. Bob?
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Favorite song to sing along to?
Happy birthday.
We have the same one. Happy birthday.
Happy. Favorite thing to do when you need to relax?
Watching movies.
Hanging out with my grandkids.
It's
It's not necessarily relaxing, but it relaxes me.
Special kind of relaxing. All right. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for your time. And I wish both of you all the success throughout 2025. But before we go, Mohammed, you have a website that's going to be rolling out. What do you have a web address?
Yes, it's letsrollpro.com.
Okay. And I believe the people will be able to not only get the graphic novels, but you're going to have some other items on the website that they can purchase as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have merchandise as well as we have invented and patented some assistive devices that are currently under development.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, guys, for being with us here today. I think that it's very obvious you're going to be highly successful, and we just are glad to be along for the ride. So
Thank you for having us.
we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye, Bob.